respect the beard. Let's go get it. Hello, everybody. It's Dexter and me. Oh, wait. No, actually. Hey, guys. Meanwhilst here. And as you can see, I'm trying to enjoy a cup of coffee in my Respect Your Beard mug. And that faux intro was a honorary tribute to Nick and Dexter from the YouTube channel During the Meanwhilst. If you ever just want to hang out with an old chap from over the pond and just have a chat, listen in on a conversation that you would probably have over a pint, Nick's your man during the Meanwhilst. Anyway, I love Dexter, and I'm sure once you see what I'm talking about, you'll love them too. Anyway, so what am I doing here today? There's even more rumors of the Nikon. Not enough coffee yet. There's even more rumors of the Sony A7 IV, and as you know, I'm shooting now on my A7C from Sony. I have the Fuji X-T4, and I'm still holding out to see what the A7 IV is going to offer, what it's going to bring to the party. And we know how everyone laughs and mocks Sony Alpha rumors, but 2 days ago they came out with even more rumors or modifications to what they had as their first level of rumors. And I have that over here, so I will be glancing over here periodically. First rumor they're having is a speculated date of release or launch, because obviously they launch something and then they wait about weeks to a couple of months before they actually release it. So the launch is like the announcement, and supposedly they're talking April. Wow. And supposedly they're talking October 21st if chip supply allows. So can we really be less than 2 weeks away from my future being announced? I think I'm going to end up getting that camera no matter what. I love the A7C because it's so small, compact. When I take it to the streets, it gives me a view that I haven't had the ability to appreciate while doing some street photography. I had gotten back into shooting street photography with my crop sensors or my cell phone, so I've forgotten the beautiful fall off you get when you're shooting an 85 millimeter full frame out on the street. So while I love the A7C, which is the point here, I think it's more important to me that I get the dual slots of SD recording. Whether they go with the SD card or not, we'll see. And that's one of the rumors that we're going to talk about in a minute. Another thing they're still contemplating is a larger sensor than what the A7 III currently has. They're rumoring, that's a word, 33 megapixel sensor. And while I think 33 megapixel is acceptable, I think the beauty for the A7 III was its 24 megapixel sensor, and the fact that it gave you enough to play with without destroying your drives. I've never heard one person complain about the A7 III not giving them enough to put out a product that any client would be happy with. And if they knew the A7 III wasn't enough for them, they had the A7R III. So Sony covered both sides of that equation. What you needed was out there. The photographers who leaned to the A7 III knew that sensor size was more than enough for them. And that's why I worry that the 33 megapixel might be more than we need. But you know what? I think with the way people are designing file sizes, the ability to get a 33 megapixel shot onto less file space, maybe that'll be an advantage that Sony brings with this new sensor. They're talking about five stops. They're talking about 15 stops of dynamic range. That is insane. Insane amount of dynamic range option. Let me put right here what the A7 III offers and the A7C that I'm currently using, which is more than enough. 15 stops is mind-blowing. To raise the shadows, to save the highlights, it's gonna be more and more possible depending on how bad you take that shot straight out of camera. With 15 stops of dynamic range, you're gonna have a lot to play with, a lot of room to wiggle with, so you can run and gun without so much the fear that you normally would have if you didn't have that kind of dynamic range. What I have been waiting for is the 3.6 million dot EVF, because while I never hated the A7 III's EVF, it was always the least my least favorite to use. It just didn't have the pop. It didn't. You were missing something because of the lack of dots that sensor EVF had. And the same thing with the A7C. Its EVF is so small that even if it had better EVF than the A7 III, you're really not appreciating because you're in there peeking and squinting and going blind anyway. There's another drawback to the A7C for me. It's not a killer deal because, like I mentioned many times before, coming to the A7C, I was coming from the A6600, and I had used the A6400, and those bodies had more smaller EVFs to begin with anyway. So this was like easily a transition for me. But for some other people, it was a killer, a deal breaker, an absolute can't happen. Not on my watch, sir. They're talking about keeping it at 4K 30 with an oversampled down from 7K, which would make the 4K super sharp and super amazing. I don't need the 60 frames per second. I don't need the 120 frames per second. But I can understand those who have used Sony cameras on the hybrid level, why they would want the 60, why they would want the 120. But ask yourself, is Sony going to sabotage their A7 III, A7S III, sorry, for an A7 IV? I don't think so. I think, just the fact that they already have a high-end hybrid video camera in the A7 III, A7S III, why would they, cannibalize themselves with their sales if they added it to a lower tier camera? Okay, we got the 5.5 stops of IBIS. You know what? I don't know how to feel about that one way or the other, because Sony's IBIS is lackluster to begin with. I think if you have the time, using their Catalyst software is the way to go if you're trying to stabilize any footage that they provide. Obviously, you're going to have a crop, but the crop is acceptable compared to trying to present what they consider IBIS. Maybe they'll fine tune it and make it an improvement in this next sensor. Wait to be seen. But that's not going to make a break a difference for me as far as whether I'm going to get that camera or not. Ignore that. That was nothing. If the house starts burning, you'll see me run. So they're looking to have the same body design as the A7S III, which, could have the same heat sink system, which would provide cooler 4K, which everyone can appreciate. All these cameras run a little hot anyway when it comes to their 4K. I have never overheated my A7C. I'm filming now in 4K, whether I upload it to 1080p or not, we'll see. I don't know. They're talking full-size HDMI. Can you imagine that? I mean, jumping straight from a micro, skipping mini and going right to full size. That's huge. That would be huge because a lot of people push out data from these cameras to exterior recordings. Now, will they limit that push out to 8-bit still? Hopefully they'll give everyone what they've been asking for, which is 10-bit. Again, in my world, 10-bit doesn't matter because I don't shoot in log. I don't over edit these videos. I just edit for my mistakes and then publish. I don't edit for color. I let the camera do its little job with that, and that's all I do. So 8-bit, 10-bit, for me personally, not a deal breaker, but I can see those who already have an A7 III or an A7C why they wouldn't upgrade if it was so important to them to get the 10-bit. Maybe they'll go to a different brand, or I'll jump all the way up to the A7S III. Now, it's going to have one or the other. It's going to have the UHS-2 SD cards or the CF Express cards. Uh, Hopefully, if they do make the jump to the CF Express cards, they'll just do one. That way, you don't have to push out of your wallet cash that you don't want to spend to begin with. UHS-2 cards are more than good enough for capturing 4K and stuff like that. If you're not jumping up past 4K, don't force CF Express on us. Okay, let's keep it to the normal UHS-2 cards and everyone will be happy. But if you are going to upgrade, just make it one slot. That way you can still run the UHS-2 cards that you have and then, you know, rob a bank so that you could buy the CF Express cards. Just my opinion. I don't know. Now, this is key to a lot of people. Are they actually going to bring over the menu that you find in the A7S3? So many people are in love with that menu because Sony's menus are not hot garbage, but they're not far from being warm. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean. So to me, if they were to change the menu any format whatsoever, it would be an improvement. It's just that it's very convoluted. You always have to guess where certain things are, and it doesn't make any kind of sense, the layout and where things end up being. So a more streamlined menu is always welcomed. Even if it's a slight improvement, an improvement is an improvement. A fully articulating LCD screen. Now, the A7C already has that, so to me, it's a lateral move, right? If you don't have the A7C and you're coming from the A7 III where all you have is a flip up screen, a tilt out screen where it doesn't flip all the way up, but it tilts out so you have that viewing. A lot of photographers prefer that style of LCD screen to begin with for the rear. And they're not really worried about a fully articulating screen. A lot of these hybrid photographers that film, they're the ones clamoring and complaining about not having a fully articulating screen. But every real photographer I know, and I say real as in a photographer main first for the video at home, those guys are the ones that are so upset when they get a fully articulated screen because it does hamper their shooting styles. If when they used to just flip up the screen and shoot over the crowd, they could see what's going on easily, or if they were shooting ground level and it just a quick flip up and you're good to go. Now you have to take the screen out, flip it up, switch it, and you know there's a lot more extra steps, and it's not as simple and it's no longer compact to hold it because now you have to take into account where the screen is. So fully articulating screen for Mr. Morales, it's not a deal breaker. It's not a must. I appreciate it when I'm home filming myself. I could take a look right over here, make sure it's got my eye focus, and I can see that little square right on my eyeball, even though my glasses are probably greasy as always. But, you know, again, for video, it's very helpful. But when it comes to photography, a tilt-up screen, to me, is better. Unfortunately, no one's come up with the tilt-out fully articulating screen. How about that? Someone work on that, where it has a carriage that lets it tilt, but if you push another button, it locks the carriage in place and you're now able to flip out the screen and articulate it. Huh? I'm not just complaining, I'm coming up with answers. And they're still talking about the price being right about 2,500 US, and to me that's acceptable. If you get all these upgrades, that's acceptable. I will have to sell my A7C, 2 kidneys, and half a lung. All right, a full lung, but I think it's a fair price. I think if you're getting all these upgrades that we're rumored to get, then it's a good to go option. If not, if all these rumors aren't true, we'll have to see what we get if that 2,500 price stays the same. All right, that's it. I just wanted to give you my opinions on the speculated rumors because everyone else is giving you their opinion. So why don't you want to hear mine, right? Wait, what do you mean you don't want to hear mine? But you waited this long. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Until the next time. Until the next time we meet. I appreciate as always. It's your Uncle Mo. Have a great day. is closing these videos always so awkward?